Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
I added something. See, my idea was if anyone in that episode got freaked out by that and they're listening to this podcast with like their headphones in, maybe like trying to chill out, that'd terrify them. Hello and welcome to the new episode of the Stuff and Things Podcast. I am Sam, your Master-in-Chief for scaring you. Joining me to discuss the second episode of The Last of Us, it's my partner in crime, it's Stefan!
Sup, dude? Hey, everyone.
Yeah, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. You?
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
I'm still here, I'm still watching, I've not run away from it yet.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you, I'm proud of me too.
You did watch the last episode in the middle of the day, but...
Yeah. I made various excuses why that had to happen as well, just for myself.
Yeah.
And joining us again, also still here, impressively, although I don't know whether she's going to make it to episode 3 now. Her favourite character's gone. It's Kaylee.
Hiya.
How you doing?
I'm good. You?
Yes. All right. Did the noise freak anyone out on the intro?
That's PTSD.
No, I'm all right.
Good. I'm proud. See, Stefan told me he has some sort of video game PTSD from that noise, so I was a little bit worried.
Yeah, no, that noise, like... I've actually just reinstalled the game on my PlayStation to play it through again.
Wow.
And yeah, I just... just that noise. That noise is just, yeah.
Do you... Is it the fact that you've watched the episode, or the 2 episodes, sorry, and you feel like, oh, I want to play the game again? Or are you thinking, I want to know what's coming. I want to remind myself so I can be the expert here.
50-50. It's a good 50-50.
Fair enough.
There's a little bit of an ego thing where I can be like, I know the answer to that question. And also a little part of, it's so good I just want to play the game again. And I want to brace myself.
After every episode we record, no matter what show, we get feedback. The feedback can sometimes be compiled into a Christmas special compilation of, wow, people actually wrote that. And sometimes it is lovely. And we had some emails and some messages from first-time listeners, which is always amazing. So welcome to the madness. If you are new and you're literally joining us because you're watching this show and then you look for content and you found us, hello, welcome. We do have a tradition on the show, however, and during the first episode of this, I didn't do it, which means that about 90% of the mailbag we have was basically people pointing that out.
Yep.
So for all of them, Stefan, season 1, episode 1 of The Last of Us was called what?
No, you bastard. No, that's not how this works. That's not how the first episode
it was called When You Are Lost in the Darkness.
Yeah,
there we go. But season 1, episode 2, the title of the episode was...
Infected.
Yes, there we go. So for everyone who moaned about that, there you go. God.
So yeah, that is coming on a t-shirt. And the title of the episode was...
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the t-shirts are gone. as in, we got a sample of t-shirts through with our logo.
They're so good.
We got 55, I think, because we got these different sizes, like 5 in each size. Mm-hmm. I've got 4 left.
Bloody hell.
I've sold all the others. I haven't even been able to load it onto the website yet, and yet people have emailed or messaged in and bought them.
Well, thank you to you wonderful people.
Yeah. So when you get your t-shirts, if you're up for it, send us a picture of you wearing it, and we're going to put a gallery together on the website of like people wearing the branded gear. And if you're out and about, like doing a Comic Con or something like that, or any of these things, and you wear something of ours, then you send in a picture and you can win a prize. Normally, it's an evening with Stefan.
Unless your name's Colin.
Moving on. No, if your name's Colin, you get an evening with all of us. Good man. Okay, so let's dive into this episode. The opening scene is once again going back to the beginning of this outbreak, and I kind of really liked it because I'm a fan of The Walking Dead, the show, which is just sort of coming to an end. One of the big questions in that is, how did this begin? How did this start? How did people, we just know it's a virus. We don't really ever get an answer, and I don't think we ever will. But the thing I like about this show is someone, and obviously the game, is they looked at this and went, it's only a very small thing to change something that already exists in nature to become really bad. And I know there's lots of examples of that. Mm-hmm. So there's someone with some knowledge when, well, if this mutates, then this would happen. And then bang, here you go. And one of the things I like about the show is they gave us that kind of TV segment from the 60s at the start of the pilot episode. Yep. And then at the start of this episode, we see Jakarta in Indonesia. A leading scientist is basically literally grabbed out of a cafe by the government. This poor woman's like, am I being arrested? What have I done? They're like, no, we just really need you to look at something.
Oh, it's far worse. Far worse.
Yeah. I was thinking like these soldiers who have picked her up probably don't know. They're probably just like the guys who've been sent out, right? Go pick this woman up. We need to see her right away. Okay, boss. But then you just imagine like the guy who's like taking her in there is like, so you thought you were having a bad day. This is weird. Obviously it's all subtitled, etc. And then I was watching it, reading it. Stefan, was anything like this in the game, or is this something you think they're putting into the TV show to try and really world build and give us this background in this depth?
I believe it is all built into the show to kind of give that depth.
Yeah.
This is why that scene itself is one of the reasons I'm reinstalling the game, because I don't remember anything like that happening in the game.
So you're thinking to yourself, double check.
Yeah, pretty much. And I love the fact you can tell it's made by HBO because episode 2, boobs. Like, it's so HBO.
Joe,
it's so HBO.
I think we've discussed this before with you, but do you know what? That went completely over my head to the point that when I saw someone did a TikTok yesterday saying, when I sat down to watch it, there was a warning over nudity, and I was like, nudity? There wasn't any nudity in that episode.
Like,
that was so... literally a dead naked person sat on a table. My brain was just like not even... I was just so focused on, he's going to be a beast. It's a monster. It's a monster. Get out there, lady.
See, I had that advantage is that I remembered that from the game itself, the virus infection cannot reanimate the dead.
Yeah.
So there are no coming back from the dead kind of jump scare things. So I'm kind of watching this scene and I'm like, well, I know for a fact that if this body wakes up or does anything, then they've really made a big change, like from the game and stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of felt safe on that presence. But I did have a little joke. I was like, HBO, known for Game of Thrones and stuff. And then I'm like, yep, episode 2.
Dude,
they got nudity into it.
You were just... dude, you were just focused on boobs. You saw boobs and that was it. The scene was gone for you. Don't try and justify it now. Don't try and bring it back.
No, after the constructive criticism I received during the Christmas show.
No. Look, mate, it's out there now. It's out there. Kaylee, I'm gonna come to you now. What did you think of the opening scenes and everything? Obviously, other than the boobs, which obviously would have captured you straight away and you'd have been transfixed. What did you think of the whole kind of setup and everything that happened there?
I thought it was really good, and I don't know if we'll see more of this because I assumed it was, like a cutscene from the game that you would normally see.
Yeah.
But I think it would be really good to have something like that, some kind of flashback at the beginning of every episode, because I've got no idea. Well, I've got no point of reference for this show at all. No. I've never played the game. I've got no intention of playing the game. No. So for me, it really helps build that story.
I'm with you, yeah.
I like it when it does that, but not throughout the whole thing. So it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's enough,
Nope.
But it's just that little bit more insight as to actually what's going on. And it gives you little hints as well. And there's a few callbacks from that scene. So that I think that was what you could hear on the radio.
Yeah.
You know, so I really liked it, and I hope that they do more of that to keep me kind of involved in the story.
I'm with you, and also the aspect of the fact that it was Jakarta, Indonesia. Too many shows, to my mind, with the post-apocalyptic stuff and everything, is like, oh look, this is just America. They're not. This isn't a global thing. Even if they say, oh, maybe it's everywhere, you know, they don't care. It's just like, oh no, we gotta do this, and it's all happening here, and the focus is all there. With this, they are literally telling us straight away, this is global. This is a massive thing. This has happened, and it's everywhere. Mm-hmm. And so I'd kind of quite like it to continue, and like that was Indonesia. Maybe next one we'll see like like something in China, or
I feel like they may leave China out of this with the current kind of last few years. Let's just probably don't show infections in China.
I personally was looking forward to the start of episode 3, a little lab in Wuhan, but no, fine. If you're gonna throw my dream out of the window, you're cruel.
I'm just thinking there's been enough stuff with infections in China right now. Let's just, you know.
I don't know what you're talking about personally. I've managed to repress the last few years.
It's still 2019, right?
And I genuinely think I am doing that, because I keep cocking up dates. Like, people keep saying, oh, when did you do that? And I'm like, oh, it was only a year ago. And I'm like, no, it was 2018.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, that's not good. Yeah. But yeah, sorry, back to the present. But to continue on what Kelly said, I am really enjoying that beginning, because it almost makes it scarier, because it feels real. Which, like, that news segment on episode 1 was like, wow, that feels like something that you've seen. Like, we've all seen these talking heads talking about a pandemic, unfortunately. So that was kind of like, oh, that feels a bit real.
Yep.
Then this scene as well, and the way the woman just like the guy's like, okay, so what do we do? You know, okay, we've identified it, we know what it is, now what? And she just takes her glasses off, sort of saying, you don't get it. This is it. We're done.
Bomb. What? I'm sorry.
Yeah. But when you think of, like, you got to go into that again with, like, you know, if you see some 4-star general come bursting in the room and go, we don't know what it is, okay, let's drop napalm on it, you're all going to go, yeah, of course, you know, bloody military. But when a doctor, someone who's devoted their entire life to science, to, you know, everything, turns around and just goes, blow everything up, you're like, what? Yeah. What?
And then finishes up with, but take me home so I can at least be with my family when you do it, because you need to do it now.
Yeah.
It's like,
it really ups the stakes, doesn't it? And it they didn't drag it out. It didn't need to be dragged out. It was really powerful just to be, fuck it, just bomb everyone.
Yeah, and that was it. And it was just her absolute kind of bluntness to, you don't, it was the way it was kind of so matter of fact of, you don't understand. This isn't a case of, I've devoted my entire life to this and I'm telling you, there is nothing you can do. Like, I will never cure this. Kill everyone. It's like, what? Yeah. So we have this scene, and like I said, we kind of have that, and it sets the episode up. And then we have, for me, probably a scene that I actually had a laugh out loud moment, which is young Ellie's waking up, and she wakes up in this, like, beautiful, calm way. Like, the light's kind of on her nicely, she's kind of led down, like, on her backpack, she wakes up, like, all kind of gracefully looking around, everything looks, you know, is overgrown and stuff, but looks nice. And then as the camera pans round, you see that those two are just staring at her. They've clearly not slept all night. They are freaked out that she's infected. And they're like gun on her, and she's like, oh, hi. I loved that contrast of scene of this beautiful, like, peaceful moment of this girl, like, waking up like, oh, and then turning around and them two, like, wide-eyed, freaked out.
Snaps you back really quickly.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
Stefan, I'm guessing, I don't know, possibly just, and I'm going to be doing this a lot, I feel, that shot of her where she's waking up felt like a cutscene from a game. Was that kind of like another one of those mirror moments?
Kind of like, yeah, there's bits like, things that have happened kind of in the show are very close references to things that have happened in the game. And I think that was one of the ones that's kind of they are both, once they find out she's infected, they're both very much on edge.
Yeah.
And kind of, keeping an eye on her and stuff. So, yeah, that was kind of like a bit of a nod towards it.
Yeah, I did like that. Like I said, it was the contrast. It was the kind of peaceful, angelic moment. You know, you can almost like da 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 da. You know, it was all really calm, and then them two literally pointing a gun at her, freaked out. Joel and Tess clearly have kind of done runs through this area before, being smugglers, because although the place is like absolutely desolate, they seem to know what they're doing in terms of which way to go. I think there's a line where they're talking about what's the best route. Okay, if we're going to go that way, we need to go up to the hotel first to like have a look, to scout it.
The long way or the short way? What's the short way?
Yeah.
Death. Well,
yeah.
Yeah, which option I take?
Yes. Yeah. One of the things I picked up on very early, and Ellie's 14. I have a daughter who's 14, and the actress in this is kind of nailing the teenage level of sass that 14-year-olds bring.
Yep.
And you put that into this situation, it was like I was constantly kind of like laughing or kind of smirking at the stuff she said. And that example you just gave them was kind of great, where, you know, the grown-ups, if you like, are talking, and she's like, I know what I choose. Hello. I want to take the option that isn't death. Thank you.
Yeah.
So they kind of have that, and they got the dynamic building between them. Kaylee, bringing you in on this, there's a lot of kind of inter-dialogue between all the characters at this point, and Tess is kind of more warm with her than Joel is, certainly at this stage. What do you think about the kind of the instincts there, and the kind of the conversations and what's going on? Do you feel that she's kind of a little bit maternal in the way she's looking at her, or do you think it's more just like she kind of reveals that she's freaked out and she wanted there to be a cure and this kid could be it? So what do you think's going on there?
I think there's two things for me. So you've got the part, I don't think necessarily it's a maternal instinct. Okay. I think it's more of I was a 14-year-old girl once. I know how I want to be spoken to. She's more mature than you think. Talk to her like a grown-up.
Yeah.
Bring her in the conversation. Don't dismiss any, what she's got to say or any of her ideas.
Yeah.
And that scene where they were on the roof overlooking, I don't know what we call it.
Yeah.
Like a camp type looking scenario with all the bodies on the floor.
Yeah.
She knows that actually she needs that knowledge, and she kind of respects her and treats her almost as an equal, but at the same time wants to protect her because she knows how high the stakes are. She does
actually say to her, doesn't she, when she gets in her face a little bit about like, why are you so special? She says to her, like, I'm speaking to you like an adult. He wants to shoot you. And that to me was like, okay, all right, and it did make me laugh because Ellie was kind of like, I got told not to tell anyone, and here I am telling the first people who ask me. The first people I see, yeah. Stefan, bringing you in then, the kind of the dialogue and stuff like that. Now, obviously, the TV show is going to have more of that than the game would, for obvious reasons.
Yep.
What are you feeling about the kind of relationships they're building, purely from just watching the show rather than sort of the game?
I'm really enjoying it. Like, it's difficult for me to say because obviously I have played the game and stuff before, and I kind of know what's coming up and stuff. And like last week with you guys talking about how I love the actress that plays Tess. So glad she's in it, and I'm obviously sat here going, "Oh Christ, oh no!" But that's going to get awkward. But in terms of the way they're building relationships, I think they're doing a very good job of it. Like Joel is very much more a case of not going to get close to anyone, got me walls up sort of thing, whereas Tess seems to be a little bit more kind of accepting and open, I guess is the way I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, Tess already kind of has a bit more of I think it's more like a business relationship, as in, we get Ellie to where we need to get to, we get what we want, happy days, we need to keep that going. Whereas Joel is just straight up, I'll murder her. I will murder her if she twitches. Yeah. Like, I swear,
Yeah.
So, it's kind of fun.
So just as we go around the table then on this, so forget everything. Just put yourself into this position, right? You are them. This girl is infected. You've spent 20 years living with this. There is no cure. There's no one who doesn't turn into one of these things.
Yep.
What are you? Are you Team Hope, or are you going to shoot her in the head? Stefan, I'll start with you.
I like to think that I would be Team Hope.
Yeah.
Realistically,
yeah,
I am probably Team Run Like Hell.
Run like hell. Okay, that wasn't even an option, but I like the fact that you found it. Yeah, Kaylee, what about yourself?
I don't know. I think we all know that if I was in this situation, I would have curled up and died a long time ago.
You wouldn't have made it 20 years. Yeah.
No.
I'm concerned about the cold snap they're forecasting in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's it for me. Game over.
Yeah.
I think I would probably be more on the pragmatic side.
Yeah.
You know, keep the hope, but also keep her at arm's length.
Okay.
I probably wouldn't straight up murder the girl.
Yeah.
But I'd probably be very wary. We wouldn't be besties, put it that way.
No, I mean, I don't know whether it's just my experience of 14-year-olds at the moment, but I think I'd shoot her in the head. Anyway, moving on. So, one of the things I actually loved about this is, and we talked a little bit about this with other shows, we talked about like the visual effects and stuff like that. When they're walking through these areas, I know in my head, this is a practical set with blue screen. Like, I know this in my head. And yet, I found myself looking at it thinking, wow, this is visually stunning. Like, I am just looking at this like... I felt... Have either of you seen the footage of the city that's next to the nuclear reactor in the Ukraine? Chernobyl.
Yep.
Have you ever seen the footage of the city that was just abandoned and is still there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it felt like they were walking around that. Do you know what I mean? It feels like they literally went and found an abandoned city and filmed there. I can't pay it a higher compliment than that. It felt very real. And I think part of that has to come from the actors. Like the way they were reacting to the scenery, every noise. Stefan, I want to bring you in on this. There was a conversation between the three characters, and Ellie was basically reciting rumours she'd heard.
Yep.
And she said something about, oh, what about the ones with their heads split open and stuff like that? And Joel and that kind of pulled faces at each other, like panic a little bit, but without saying much, just like, oh, don't worry about it, keep going.
Yep.
Is that a bit of Frankie foreshadowing?
So there are 4 stages of infection in the game.
Okay.
So you had the runners, which we saw in episode 1. Like the woman, she would have been classified as a runner.
They're the ones that would take Kaylee out day one. Yeah.
Then we see the clickers in this episode. Now they're actually stage 3.
Oh, okay.
Stage 2 was like the stalker, I think they were called.
Okay.
And then stage 4 is the bloaters.
Right.
Bloaters
sounds like me at Christmas.
Bloaters kind of sprayed like the kind of spores and stuff out. They were very bloated.
I see.
That sort of thing. The stalkers, I can't remember much about the stalkers. I'm still more terrified. So you need
to get back on that game,
man. I'm more terrified.
Supposed to be our expert here.
But I think the ones like the head split open and stuff like that, I can only assume she was actually talking about the clickers, where they kind of have that balloon thing over their face and stuff like that. So
you mentioned the clickers to us on episode 1, and I kept saying to you, stop trying to freak me out, and I kept sort of telling you to shut up. So we get into this episode, and there's a moment where they're kind of trying to make their way through. Actually, sorry, let me just stop there before we go into that. There was one bit of information that came just a little bit earlier. Kaylee, you mentioned it. There was a scene they were looking out, and you could see all of these infected basically just laying there. They're not really doing anything. They're dormant.
Mm-hmm.
And Tess passes on the knowledge that there are like the fungus is underground as well. It's growing everywhere. It's growing into buildings through the concrete, and if you were to stand on certain things, it will alert these infected to where you are.
Yep.
And they'll come running. You know, like and I thought two parts of that. One, I was like, wow, that's terrifying. But also two, it was a fantastic way of giving the audience that information by having her tell Ellie. It was like a very natural, look at them, right here, we're fine. They can't see us, can't hear us.
Yep.
However, you need to be aware of this. Stefan, is that in the game? Because I looked around a little bit online and there appeared to be a lot of reactions from people saying that that's new.
That is a new addition. Yeah, there was no kind of hive mindset in the game. So that is something
That's
new.
interesting.
Sorry, Kaylee?
So I was just going to say, one of the things that I wrote was, how does that actually work in a game? Because if it's on the floor and you're walking up the stairs, how are you going to see that in a game? So you're just done instantly, wouldn't you?
You would, yeah. So I'm guessing, but from a TV point of view, I could completely understand that addition, that kind of, because it keeps you, like trying to sneak around and stuff like that. It adds something, like a whole nother layer to moving around in this world is bloody difficult.
Yeah. But, that is new to the TV show, not from the game.
Okay, and you, because obviously you love the game, is this a change that's angered you, or are you kind of like, oh, this is a good change?
I quite liked it, actually, I must be honest.
Yeah.
It makes a new kind of fun, fun for the viewer, probably not for the people living it, element to it. You've really got to be like, they kill one, they kill it, and then you see those little like tentacles come out the ground, and then all of a sudden, all those other ones wake up, and you're kind of like, oh wow. Yeah, you can't even kill these things and think you're safe, because by killing it, you've just alerted all the ones in the area. So yeah, which is a frightening point of view. Oh yes.
So like I was saying then before I paused, they go into a museum building, and when they're in this museum building, we get introduced for the first time to the clickers. Now, again, there's a little scene in this which was very kind of throwaway, but it gave us the information really cleverly. And that is, Joel and Ellie and Tess are hiding up against a glass cabinet, and these things are moving around making these noises. Ellie is completely freaked out, but Joel catches her eye line, points to his eyes, does a signal for no, they can't see, they can only hear. So you're kind of watching it, and the way they did it, for me anyway, it added to the tension, but also gave me the information I needed.
Yep.
Like, straight away, I'm like, why do these things click in? Why are they moving differently? And then you're like, okay, it's echolocation. The thing is basically taking their eyesight away, the infection. So that's why they're doing it. And you're like, okay, that makes sense. And then I'm like, it's still really freaky, though.
Isn't it just?
Stefan, you were a fan, I think, in air quotes, of these from the game. What for you was it like seeing this in a live action TV show?
Yeah, just as freaky. Yep, just as kind of like, oh, wonderful. Yep, here it is. Okay. Yeah.
So when you first heard the noise, were you like, nope, or were you kind of excited to see it and how they do it?
Very split down the middle. Very excited to know that was coming. And at the same time knowing that night when the radiators click in and the heating turns on, I'm probably going to crap myself because I'm going to think, what is that noise? It's half and half, really.
This is good news. I'm a big fan of that. Yeah. Kaylee, obviously, you're like me. You've heard him say the word clickers, so in your head you're thinking, okay, something's coming. What did you think of those scenes where these things are being introduced?
Well, firstly, they are absolutely gross.
Yes, they are.
But I couldn't quite understand the logic of why it kind of overtakes their head. Yeah. Like it's like a helmet, mask type thing on a human body. But surely it would overtake the whole body. But maybe that's another stage of their evolution. I don't know.
Potentially, yeah.
They kind of look like giant fly heads that were slimy and tentacly, if that makes any kind of sense.
I did actually have a little bit of thought that obviously the general notion is if you want to put any living thing down, you have to destroy the brain. You know, this is kind of like a zombie trope, if you like. And what we've seen in this so far is to kill the human, the carrier of this virus, shooting them in the head does the trick. Mm-hmm. And I kind of wondered if perhaps the reason why these clickers have evolved with this extra protection around the head could be for that. They've evolved to, humans are shooting us in the head. This is our way of keeping us going. Pure speculation from me, but I did wonder.
Nice idea. Yeah.
It's a logical train of thought. Yeah.
Very weird for me.
So the actual noise that they make.
Yeah.
Obviously, Stefan has tried to explain it multiple times.
Yeah.
But for me, and this is what I was mentioning yesterday when we were talking about it, have you ever seen a film from 2004 called Creep?
Not me.
Called what, sorry?
So basically, Creep.
No.
So basically, it's this girl who wakes up in an underground station in the middle of the night. You know, she's locked in, and there's this thing in the tube station, and it chases you. You know, it's very similar, and that's the noise that it makes.
Oh, wow.
It's almost identical. It's really, really weird, and that noise kept me awake. Bearing in mind, I was like, what, 16?
Yeah.
Kept me awake for yonks. Awful noise. Yeah.
Okay, so how have you dealt with this kind of PTSD style flashback to that moment? Are you coping okay?
I mean, I held my breath for quite a substantial amount of time during it. And the fact that it's the noise, and I would just be wailing in the corner, but it like a bit like The Quiet Place,
Yeah.
It gave me that kind of vibe, I guess.
Yeah. I like the fact that with this, the typical zombie trope, if you like, there aren't really. I know certain TV shows are trying to change this, but there aren't really variations on that. You kind of have, okay, in this film they're zombies that run after you. In this film they're ones that meander. And this, it kind of changes from movie or TV show to TV show. You don't typically get, okay, in this we've got like different versions of the same thing.
Yeah.
With this, you've seen those that are like the fast runners, like chase you down. That's scary. That is in itself a terrifying prospect. With the clickers, you've got the added menace. I mean, Katie just mentioned then The Quiet Place. That film did ever so well because of the sheer tension it builds of having to stay quiet.
Yeah.
And in this scene, I felt they did that, absolutely nailed it, because the tension and the actors looking at each other, like making eye contact, like don't make a sound.
Yeah.
You could see, and again, as a tribute to them, they really conveyed the sheer terror and fear of the situation to me.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have probably pre-warned Ellie.
Yeah.
That how they can identify that you're around. Yeah. I think that was a bit of a miss.
I feel, because obviously we had that moment where he sort of explains it to her via signing it to her, but at the same time it kind of felt to me like they were hoping to avoid it, never have to tell her about how horrific this is, and then they were in that building, saw that guy get ripped apart, and they were like, what has done this? And you had them looking at each other like, uh-oh, we know. Yeah, I mean, you're right. At that moment, they probably should have said, yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. By the way, if you hear a kind of clicky noise, shut the up straight away. But yeah, it was interesting. I thought the scene was really good. I thought all of the scenes really, when they were trying to make their way through that. But one of the things I've written down here is kind of like one of my bullet points is, I cannot get over, again, how difficult they were to kill. So Stefan, I kind of want to bring you in on this. Me and you, mate, we've watched loads of different genre stuff with walkers and zombies.
Yeah.
Headshot, down.
Yeah.
Joel put a good few rounds into a few of them, and a couple of them were headshots, but obviously didn't make it through. One of them even took an axe to the head, and that didn't stop it.
Yeah.
So, is that, again, from the game, are these things really difficult to kill?
From my remembering, which is perfect English.
Yeah.
I remember avoiding these things at pretty much all costs, and them being a real pain in the ass to try and kill.
Yeah.
Like, you want the runners to come at you, because they're just one shot, boom, dead.
Yeah.
These things were way harder to kill.
Yeah.
So do they get more tricky to kill the more evolved, the 4 stages? So the stage 1, easy, bang, done. By the time you get to stage 4, it's going to be brutal and it's going to be really hard. Is that how it works?
So I think the clickers were the hardest ones to kill, but the bloaters, the full stage, the bloaters, because of the whole thing of them kind of, you kill them and they explode with spores, you had to do it at such a distance and everything else, that added a trickiness to them. Yeah. Like, you don't want those things up close because they'll just, like, give you the spores. Again, going back to that slight change I made from the game of the spores, I assume we're not going to really see the bloaters in this, because where they seem to have taken away that spores aspect.
They could introduce it through characters like that. I think the idea of it being airborne, like certain areas you couldn't walk around without a gas mask, is what they've tried to eliminate.
Yeah. We'll see. There's inside the episode segment where the co-creator of the show, which is like Craig Mazin, he said that they'd actually researched other ways of demonstrating the infection, as spores in a real life set world would seem to be everywhere as dust in the air and everything else. So they thought it would be too hard to portray in a TV show because of the amount of dust being kicked up. So they've kind of taken that bit out, and that's where they've now brought in a bit that we will talk about shortly.
Okay.
So, question then.
Hello, yes.
Going back to these 4 different types, what determines what type one of them is? So, is it a time thing? Is it just a luck of the draw? The clickers and the runners, etc. How does that work?
From understanding, it was time. So you've just been infected.
So all of the runners will eventually become clickers.
It's as the infected. Again, I could be wrong, and I'm sure if I am wrong, someone listening will tell me very quickly. But from my remembering, it was kind of as the infection and the fungus takes place, that's where all like the mutations and everything happen. So a freshly infected, you're kind of running around just kind of eating people, and then as it kind of goes, I think Joel makes a comment about the fact they could have been here for 20 odd years or something, these clickers, which would show
the lifespan is a month. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that was interesting. We see the 3 of them. Obviously, they make it out of there, and they make it to the rendezvous point. But when they get there, everyone's dead.
Yeah.
Joel points out, obviously, one of them got infected, and then I think he says the living fought the infected, and nobody won. I was like, wow, okay,
brutal.
That's a brutal take. I can understand. Now, during this scene, we see a kind of Tess is a little bit frantic, and as she's frantic, she then points out that, Ellie points out she's infected, and she reveals to Joel, here it is, I am infected.
Yeah.
Now, I gotta be honest, I'm not entirely sure. Did she get infected with the clickers, or has she been infected for a while? I didn't really follow that.
I believe it was in the museum with the clickers, everything else that was going on.
So she got bitten, scratched or something in that moment, and that caused... Okay, I mean, that does make sense. It just, like, in the moment, because, typical, again, zombie genre stuff, it's a bite mark, and if she just showed a bite mark, I'd have been like, oh no, that just happened.
Yeah.
But she kind of, like, showed this area that looked like an infection developing. I was like, okay, has that been growing for a month? I don't know. I don't know what the gestation period is.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, oh, okay, all right. Well, no, that makes sense. Okay, so that's kind of clear. One of the things that happens is Ellie actually gets bitten again, basically in the same place where she got bit last time.
I love it. Well, it had to happen to one of us.
Yeah, I mean, she nails that line, which kind of made me laugh. Which is, if it was going to happen to anyone, at least it was me, sort of thing. Joel, I think Joel says, just because the virus didn't take once doesn't mean it won't take this time. Again, Joel's ready to shoot her in the head.
Yep.
I've got to respect that. But she's fine. Like, it starts to heal, and you see Tess in this frantic state. Like, look, this is important. This is beyond me. This is beyond you. This is beyond all of this. All of our goals that we were kind of setting for ourselves, throw it out the window because you need to, like, get her somewhere. Kaylee, what are your thoughts on this scene? Because it was kind of, for me anyway, I was kind of like, oh no, everyone's dead. In my head, I kind of thought, well, a little bit predictable because we know that Joel was taking her on. The series doesn't end. He didn't like hand her off to someone and go laters, and that was going to be the end of it after 2 episodes. But what did you think about that whole kind of setup and the conversation? And obviously, I want your thoughts on poor Tess.
Wow, I'm fuming. Absolutely fuming. Honestly, I only agreed to watch it because I like her.
You did.
That is true. She's gone. And now she's gone. Like, there's no point in watching anymore. I'm out.
Oh no.
Yes, and I did say at the start of this podcast, we've got Kaylee today, maybe not next week.
When you were talking about her last week and I realised what was coming up, I was like, oh no.
Yeah. I'm glad you didn't spoil it for me. But to be honest, I was still so frantic about what had just taken place that actually it didn't click in my brain that was the place that they thought that they were trying to get to.
Yeah.
And it took me a little minute just to kind of go, oh, this is where they were. These are who these people are. Yeah. But it would be silly just to go, hey, I'm going to go home. We tried, game over. Yeah. There's obviously more out there, and they've got all of these other communities spread out across the country that someone somewhere is going to be able to, to help her. And I think over in that time, you can see Joel's relationship with her evolve, even just ever so slightly, in the fact that he's putting his arm out to stop her moving, he's jumping in front of her, so you can see that building. So
did you
straight away.
Did you see the moment where he had to like give her a hand to move, and he snatched his hand back? There was this moment he sort of helped her maneuver, and then he snatched his hand and looked at his hand like, no, I'm okay. All right, I'm okay. Just little details like that I love, because you can completely believe that. Like, he's lived in this world for 20 years. He is going to be very wary, and anyone who survived that long has got an instinct about them and got an ability about them and isn't going to take a chance. So, you got to be kind of... I like those little details. I enjoyed that.
There was a scene a bit earlier, actually, when they were in the hotel.
Yeah.
And you can see she kind of transforms... Ellie transforms back into a little girl. She's playing with the, at the desk, and then his body comes out and he just jumps. Yeah. And even that, it was such a small, insignificant thing. But no, brilliant.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that also, I felt there was a moment in that scene where the writers did themselves a perfect get out of jail free card for everything. One line. How would because she is 14, this has been going on for 20 years. How would you know what a hotel is? I read books, dumbass.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But the look of wonder going into the museum, being in the hotel.
It was amazing.
Brilliant.
It was great. Brilliant. And full credit to the actor to do that, but also the direction of, like, you are seeing this for the first time. You need to be wow. But that line, any time now she says something, no one can ever go, oh, but how would she know about that? Well, books.
Yep.
so shut your face. And the writers kind of wrote that line and then sat back and went, oh, everyone chill. Oh, we're okay. If we make a little mistake, we're fine now.
Yeah, it's covered.
So, Stefan, I want to bring you in. So this scene, we got all of this has gone on. They've got there. The reason why I'm bringing you to this, and Kaylee, I'm going to bring you in afterwards, is because they kill one of them and it alerts the others and they are charging their position.
Yes.
Tess starts kicking over the fuel drums. Tess is going to blow the place up.
Yeah.
And Tess is like, I'm infected, you get her out of there. She looks at Joel and kind of says to him, save who you can save. And Joel takes a moment and then is like, you're right, grabs Ellie and gets out. Ellie's kicking off. She's like, no, we're not leaving her. Like,
yeah, we are. Yeah.
Now, this scene for me was really, really weird. And I'm kind of hoping you can bring me some game knowledge or some reason why this happened.
Okay, go on.
Why did she allow this thing to get up to her and basically plant a fungus kiss into her mouth?
Now, I would love to tell you the exact reason why this happens and reference the game, etc., etc. However, in the game, Tess is infected and she sacrifices herself. But she sacrifices herself so that they can get away from the Fedra soldiers, not from the infected.
Okay.
So that itself is actually a complete change from the game.
Yeah.
In the game, it is the Fedra agents that are after them. She sacrifices herself so that they can get away, and that kind of happens. And you're like, oh wow! In the game, you're like, oh my god! Like I've just lost a second big character quite early on. Oh my god, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it hasn't got anything to do with the infected in that part. So, from someone who watched the game,
so you
like,
can't explain to me why there needed to be some fungus Frenching going on.
The only thing I found, I did a bit of research, and the only thing I could find was that bit I said to you earlier about the inside the episode segment, where they decided that was going to be the alternative method of infection alongside like the bites and scratches. So they decided to do it with like the tendril things coming out and infecting people.
I think I'm more stuck on the why would you allow it.
That is for me a good question. Like she's struggling with the lighter. The lighter, just a quick reference. The lighter is, I believe, the same lighter that is from another one of the Naughty Dog games, Uncharted 4. The main character has a lighter pretty much identical to that. So that was kind of like Naughty Dog, the people that created the Last of Us game and the Uncharted. A nice little nod to them. But yeah, she's struggling with this lighter. Can't get it to light. She's got grenades everywhere. She could just set a grenade off. That would do the same job.
Yeah.
Instead,
it would.
She just stands there, lets this thing walk towards her, and French kiss her with tentacles. And I'm watching it going, move your head out the way, like.
Yeah. So
because
okay.
If her lighter hadn't worked at any point, then she sacrificed herself for no reason and turned into one of those.
Yeah, I was completely lost. Okay, so there was no game reason. There's nothing in that.
No.
Kaylee, what did you think of that scene?
Oh,
well,
gross.
reminded you of Saturday night down at Evolution in Bristol, I bet. Yeah.
Oh, crikey, absolutely. 20 years ago, not recent.
No.
I assumed, probably wrongly now that I think about it, that she kind of just stood there because we work under the assumption that they can't see. So did that thing know that she was there and she was just trying to be quiet?
Yeah, they could see. Yeah, they're the runner ones.
The lighter, or creating a diversion almost, just to reduce the
ones chasing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find it really weird. Like I really kind of struggled with that. Like that was.
You didn't need the French kiss.
I couldn't work my head.
Did not need the French kiss at the end. No.
Yeah.
And the other thing that came out was obviously a lot of them ran past her, ignoring her. Is that because they didn't think that she was worth taking, or she was already infected? Did they know that she's not? She's one of them already.
That was what I wondered, because when the thing was coming towards her, I'm like, these things are sprinting. Why aren't they sprinting at her? And it came to her really, really slowly. I'm thinking, it's because it knows she's infected. It's going to get right up to her and be like, Yeah, you're one of us, and walk off.
Yeah.
But then when it just stuck a kiss on her, I was like, what? You know, this isn't Saturday night down the waterfront. Get the hell away! What the hell?
I mean, it was good for ick factor, wasn't it? It was a good.
Oh, there
shock.
was it.
There it is.
There
Kaylee's
was.
ick. 50 odd minutes in, we have a Kaylee ick. That's the next T-shirt.
Yeah.
The next T-shirt is it gave me the ick, because that is just a saying.
Well, there is. I'm told there is a student drinking game based around our podcast. So
no way.
But,
everyone's drunk. She said it.
She said it. Finish your drinks, people.
Shut.
So that, I mean, that's the episode, really. I mean, that's kind of, we are left now with Joel and Ellie, and they are heading away from that situation. Ellie pissed off, but at the same time probably realising it was the right thing to do. We see the explosion, which hopefully took them all out, but like Kaylee pointed out, some were sprinting past very quickly, so I do wonder if any of them got through. But I think from what you said, Stefan, these runner ones Joel could probably handle.
Yeah.
Providing there's not a lot of them.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So yeah, there we go. That was episode 2. Obviously I've kind of walked through it and we picked up bits. Stefan, was there any other bits and pieces you wanted to discuss?
No, not for the moment. I think we're all good so far.
Marvellous. Kaylee, what about yourself?
No, I don't think so. I liked the chicken sandwich scene. That was quite entertaining.
That was funny.
I'll just kill him with my sandwich.
But
It's like, can I have a gun? No, fine, I'll throw my sandwich at them.
Throw my sandwich, yeah. But no, I think it was really good, and I think the end of this episode really sets the tone for what's to come, and you know, it's up the stakes. You can get the sense of urgency, going forward. Actually, this is with Tess going, dying, should I say? You know, it really does bring the emotion into it, I think, and it will help Joel to keep fighting. That will be their callback. We need to do this for Tess.
Yeah, and I think Joel. I always like to think to myself. I said about putting yourself in these positions. Everyone I think likes to think of themselves as, I'd be the hero in that situation. I know me. If I'm put into these things, I would be the reluctant hero. I would, like Joel right now. Just wanted to get out, just wanted to deliver the girl there, hand over that, take his stuff, go and do his thing. That's very much me, I think. That would be like, oh, really? Okay, fine, I'll do it. Bloody hell. There I am. So I feel watching Joel, I'm like, yeah, there we go, man. Spirit animal. But okay, so that was episode 2. Let us know what you think. Get involved. You can message us any way you can think of possible, basically via all the social medias, be it Facebook, Instagram, via TikTok. You can get in touch any way you want. You can email us, any of our names at stuffandthangspodcast.com. You can contact us via the message section in however you listen, which I know a lot of you do. You can also, if you feel like it, get involved in a live chat with us, because we are all still there, on Discord. I will put the latest invite link to Discord in the podcast description for this episode. So if you're interested in that, talking to like-minded people about different shows or just this one, you can get involved. Yeah. How was that? Was that all right, mate? Was that professional?
I liked it.
Oh, good. Thank you. As long as I got your approval. So yes, big thank you to everybody for listening. We will be back next week with episode 3. Well, 2 of us will. I don't know about Kaylee yet. She's still on the fence. But Stefan, say goodbye to everybody.
See you later.
Kaylee, say goodbye to the lovely people.
Bye.
And that's it. We are out.
Joel, say who you can say.
No! We're not leaving her! Get off me, you fucker! I'm not going with you!
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.